Good evening. Hello and welcome to Steam Paper and another interview in our little series. So we're doing these interviews to raise awareness for Steampunk over Ether, which is our virtual festival for steampunks. We're running over the 25th and 26th of April. So I hope you're all going to put that in your diaries. It'll be on the Steam Paper page and it'll be available on Facebook and YouTube. Now we're looking for content for this. We've had some great responses so far, some really good stuff. And we're looking for any kind of content from performers, from musicians, from writers, from artists, or just steampunks. So any steampunk out there, if you're working on a costume, working on a gadget, please send us in a picture of what you're doing, or a video of what you're doing, or a video of what you're making. Show us how you've made it, what you're doing, or workshops, anything at all really. We're looking to make this a proper festival in the sense that you'll see the sights and sounds, all the kinds of things you might see at a normal steampunk festival. So please send those in, and you can send those to news@steampaper.co.uk. If they're big files, then I suggest using WeTransfer, which is a great medium for transferring files. So so let's introduce my guests. So we have two guests tonight, and they're very kindly taking time out from their duties as representatives of the Cthulhu Party. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Andy and Melissa. Good evening.
Good evening.
Lovely to see you. Thank you very much for joining me. Now, I suppose the first question is for any heathens out there who have no idea, who is Cthulhu? So tell me a little bit about Cthulhu.
Well, Cthulhu was sort of first coined as the most famous monster sort of created by H.P. Lovecraft in sort of the 1920s. He's a 300-foot tall elder god that is essentially sleeping and dreaming beneath the Pacific Ocean and influencing the world through nightmares.
Lovely. Okay. And Melissa, is there anything you'd like to add to that? Is that a fair summing up?
That's very fair. I would add, you'd have to remember Cthulhu has an octopus face, sort of devil wings, and is generally speaking a god of chaos and destruction.
Cool. So a god for the modern times, then, really, I would guess. So
yes.
So what has attracted you to Cthulhu? What is it that attracts you? Melissa, what would you say has attracted you to Cthulhu?
I would say on a private level, the tentacles. And on a more political level, it's obviously the potential for destruction.
Right.
As we know, everything is going down a really bad route right now, and I would rather go down the godly, chaotic, bad route.
Okay. And Andy, what does Cthulhu mean to you? What attracts you to Cthulhu?
It really sort of stems from the whole sort of reason for the party existing, which is why do we keep voting for the lesser of two evils when we could choose the greater evil and vote for Cthulhu?
Yeah, no, I can see that. I can see that making perfect sense. Yes, yeah. No, Malika, it's not the Flat Earth Society night. God, I don't know. It's people asking these questions. So we've got a couple of people. We've got some people watching us. That's good. So what? Obviously, I'm here on behalf of Steam Paper, and we're talking about a steampunk festival, and you're at several steampunk festivals. So, what's the connection between Cthulhu, a elder god of octopoid variety? What's the connection between Cthulhu and steampunk? Would you say?
I would say it's quite a good question. I mean, Cthulhu was associated with steampunk long before we were around associated with steampunk. I think Cthulhu, by his divine influence, has associated himself with steampunk.
Okay.
Yeah, you would be sorry.
Okay. I mean, there does seem to be a little bit of an obsession with tentacles in steampunk. I was talking to Tom in Nimue of Hopeless Maine that, there's a lot of tentacles in Hopeless Maine. There's Carl Burnett seems to be obsessed with tentacles as well from the Cogniz. I'm not really quite sure why. And yeah, there seems to be a lot of obsession with tentacles and octopuses. Any ideas about that?
I think octopuses are present in a lot of sort of steampunk big names like Jules Verne's.
Yeah.
Under the sea and everything else. I think krakens, octopuses, and anything else is naturally associated itself with steampunk.
Yeah. Okay. I got a question from Mélissa here. I'm just going to pop up on the screen. What is the average offering for an elder god these days? What should we be offering to Cthulhu these days?
I think we have a bus for that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let me show you. Let me bring that up. I happen to have a picture here of the bus. So here we go. So there you go. We send EU 350 million a week. Let's use it to raise Cthulhu instead. I think that's a good point. So there we go, about 350 million then. So you need to scrabble behind the back of your sofa and find 350 million. I think.
Yeah. Children.
So as a party, as the Cthulhu Party, where do you stand on green energy?
Well, what you mean by green? Are you associating green with Martians?
Oh no, definitely not Martians. No.
That's all right then, because we don't want to get into that colour of green. That's definitely an unacceptable colour of green.
Oh, okay. So there's acceptable and unacceptable colours of green then.
Yes, there are. We have a guide in the manifesto as to what colours of green are acceptable and what colours are unacceptable.
Yeah, I think I can. Hang on a second. Just let me. I'm just going to switch back to me there. I think I've got. I don't know how well you can see that on screen, but here we have the different colours of green that are acceptable and not acceptable. Actually, that's because I should mention that I'm using a green screen, so you can't see any of those. Anyway, carry on.
Green in terms of environmental green, we're all for.
Oh, okay.
I mean, the green in terms of Martian green, we're definitely against.
So ecology and looking after the planet is a good thing then?
Well, absolutely. I mean, if you were living dreaming at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean, you would not want your ocean getting filled with plastic.
Right.
You know, I mean, that is going to make Cthulhu angry, and you really don't want an angry Cthulhu.
No, it's best not to anger an elder god. I think I've learned. So now, I wanted to ask: does anybody actually know what? Because one of the phrases, you know, you hear several phrases connected with Cthulhu, and there are different campaign phrases, I know. But one of the phrases you hear is non-Euclidean geometry. Now, does anybody actually know what non-Euclidean geometry is?
Non-Euclidean geometry it's kind of when you see something that just looks wrong. So something like art by, say, M.C. Escher.
All right. Yeah.
Is very much non-Euclidean because it flows round and back on itself. It's not actually in the physical realm.
Yeah.
You get things like I'm trying to remember what the one is where it's like the paper shape where it only technically has one side.
Yeah, a Mobius strip.
That's the one.
Cool. So that's kind of those kind of things is basically what we're talking about. So I wanted to ask now. It's very important. I think it's a really important question. Who do you think is Cthulhu's favourite band?
I've been actually a lot of these. I'm going to let Mélissa take that one.
So, Mélissa, what's Cthulhu's favourite band? Do you think? What music does Cthulhu listen to? Can you hear me, Mélissa? Have you lost me? Sorry, Andy. While we wait for Mélissa, you might have to answer that one.
Yeah, that's fine. I would say Cthulhu probably likes the Men, especially after the song about the Margate incident.
Right. Okay. Mélissa, can you hear me? Okay. Can you hear us? Okay. I think we might have lost Mélissa there. Anyway, we'll sort that out in a second. So I was just going to show a picture now. Let me just move back to that one. And I was going to show a picture of you on campaign. So here we go. Okay. Cool. Okay. So this is you on campaign. Now, who's the other character in that image? Okay, and I believe this is one of Greg McNeil's images, which I've shamefully played around with. But there we go.
Yes, it was taken at Town That Never Was last year, just after we won the election.
Yes. Okay.
It was probably the last photo he took as he was packing up.
Okay, so basically, there was an election last year then, and you were successful. Yes. So tell us a little bit about that and the campaigning.
So the last year there was an election at the Town That Never Was.
I can hear you. Yes, the internet is a bit patchy.
Sorry, say again, Melissa. Okay, Andy, carry on.
Last year at the Town That Never Was, there was an election to elect a mayor of the town. Now, in that election, there was us as representatives of the Cthulhu Party. There were two people who were definitely, absolutely not Martians, who were representing the slightly green party.
Right.
And there was the apathy party who didn't turn up. Then there was the Society Against Gin Adulteration, which I believe was Lady M.
All right, yes. That sounds like her, to be fair.
And then that hair doctor chap got involved, something to do with ray guns.
Yeah.
So yes, there was a fair few of us campaigning. We went out there with our placards and trying to get people to support the forces of chaos and evil. And surprisingly, given the current political climate, we won.
Yeah. So, just going back, how are you doing, Melissa? Are you with us? No, I think we're still having a little bit of problem with Melissa's connection there. So I've been going through the manifesto, and there's some things. I mean, there's some good stuff in here. I'm just gonna. There's some good stuff in here. So, I mean, for instance, where are we? Yes. So, politicians will be held accountable for their promises under the proposed ditch means ditch legislation. Yeah, that sounds good. Consumption of calamari and other octopus and squid products will be made legal. Well, I mean, that seems perfectly reasonable. And then the town of Milton Keynes and Telford will be demolished for their crimes against architecture. Yeah, I agree with that as well, actually. Yeah, that's yeah, totally. In fact, I think we should probably add Croydon to that list. I don't know.
Well, there were others on the list. I think Wolverhampton made the list at one point as well.
Okay. So are these marked out by the Elder God for specific treatment, do you think?
Yes. The Elder Gods are not fans of modernist architecture.
Okay. So what I was going to ask was, I'm going to see if I can just talk to Melissa now. So just hang on 1 second. Melissa, can you hear me? Are you able to hear me? No. Okay. Well, I'm going to have to talk to you, Andy. I think about your computer, because I gather you've got some interest outside of the.
I'm sorry. Am I back?
Oh yes, you are now. Yes. Hello. Sorry. Are you? Just give us just chat to us a little bit. No, I think it's a bit intermittent, the connection. Okay, I'm going to crack on. Andy, as I was saying, you have got some interests outside of the Cthulhu Party, and I gather you're quite into computers.
Well, I started making steampunk things before I discovered what steampunk was.
Yeah.
And not wanting to do anything by halves, my first sort of proper steampunk build was starting to modify a computer case. So I think Dr. Jeff actually spoke about it last night, that there was sort of quite a trend for modifying computer cases in the sort of early 2000s. And I sort of, while I was at uni, started having this idea of building what I thought at the time as a Victorian-looking computer. And sort of as I was starting to search for these, I came across steampunk, and then one thing led to another. And of course, while I was at uni, I didn't have the opportunity to do it. But then, sort of virtually as soon as
I can hear you.
Okay, sorry.
Sorry, Melissa. As soon as I sort of got a proper job and moved up here to Leeds, I started building a steampunk computer. Now, it did take me a long time to build. I'm
just going to put this on screen, Andy, so we can see it. So there you go. That's the computer, yeah.
Yeah, so that's the computer. So that's as it looks now, and as it looked as of sort of middle of last year. It's had a number of iterations. That's the latest one. It was initially supposedly finished in 2017, and then got modified again due to a few little technical snags, mainly that the actual computer inside was no longer accepting Windows updates. So it had to be... the actual insides of it had to be completely replaced, but I did design it with that in mind.
Yeah.
Obviously, at the moment, I'm having fun and games trying to work from home on a quite heavily modified keyboard, where it's a UK layout keyboard but uses a US layout key set, so some of the symbols aren't actually in the right place.
Well, that's quite Cthulhu, really, in a way.
Yeah, and I think if Melissa is back, she has visited up here and has tried to use that keyboard, and being a Mac user has found it even more confusing.
Yeah. So what inspired you to build the computer that way?
It's basically, I was seeing a lot of computer cases, steampunk modified computers online. Yeah. And a lot of people were doing them where they were using the cases with like the big perspex side panels and then adding things internally.
Yeah.
My immediate thought with all of those was, well, if you do that, then you've put hundreds of hours of work into building this thing, including modifying internal components that are going to be obsolete within the next 5 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I went down this route of keeping the internals of the case absolutely standard. It's just a standard full ATX motherboard case, so that every 5 years or so, or whenever it needs it, I can just take the side panel off and put a brand new motherboard into it, and replace any components internally that I want.
Yeah, yeah.
So the look of the outside of it was very much inspired by the Victorian pumping stations, where there's all the sort of cast iron parts are all riveted and all painted in these sort of dark greens and dark blues and dark reds.
Yeah. Cool.
And it was just something at the time I'd never seen that done before, because most of the ones I'd seen were black with then copper and brass added to them.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Well, I think it's an amazing big kit. So how many hours do you think it took you in all?
That's a good question. It took up to 2017 when it was initially finished. I'd been working on it on and off for 2 years, but it wasn't the only thing I was working on as a steampunk project at the time.
Yeah.
And I wasn't working on it every weekend.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to tell. I mean, it's got to be several hundred.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just I'm just trying to sort out Melissa's connection if I can while we're chatting. So we're just going to see if I can get Melissa back. Hey.
Hello.
Hello. Can you hear me?
We have some.
Hey there.
So I guess that hopefully I'm going to take advantage of this, and I'm going to talk to Melissa.
Can you hear me better if I move the camera?
Yeah, the image has stalled again. Unfortunately, it might be your connection. Let's go back to that one. Yeah, I think you've got a dodgy connection there, unfortunately. Okay, well we may have to do a part 2 on this interview, I think, at some point, because I think unfortunately we've
yes,
yeah. So I can
sorry, this is really bad down here.
Yeah, I can hear you occasionally, but the image gets stalled. So I think we'll basically have to do a part 2. But anyway, it's been great to talk to you both. It's been really good to talk to you both about the Cthulhu Party, and I'm going to just pull up on screen now this URL. So if anybody's interested in the Cthulhu Party, would like to join and support the Cthulhu Party, then they can go to the Facebook page for the Cthulhu Party. And any requirements, Sandy, for joining the Cthulhu Party?
You probably have to be a bit mad to want to join, to be honest. It does help.
Yeah. So, I mean...
we have in the past sold at Asylum the membership packs, which is the badge and the membership card.
Yeah.
And that costs £5 to actually become a member of the party.
Right.
Which then means if you want to, you can go on campaign with us.
Right.
We are hoping to have those available to mail order. I have the badges. The cards haven't arrived yet. The next batch of cards haven't arrived yet from the printers.
So reasonably chaotic then, yeah?
Yeah. We had a few issues with a printer that seemed to like to take money and not actually send anything out.
Well, I've got a picture of the... I can just bring up very quickly a picture of the passport. So is that the passport and the badge? That looks really nice.
That's the pack, yeah. So you can see there that's the membership card, and then lying on top of it is the badge, which is a little soft enamel pin.
Very nice. And the artwork and everything's all done by Melissa, I understand. Is that right?
It's a mixture of the two of us.
Oh, okay. Cool. So
I leave Melissa to do the Photoshop side of it, because she actually knows what she's doing with that, whereas I really don't. But I do I found the covers for it are scans of an old book cover that's then had the gold text added to it.
Yeah.
It's a book, I think, called, it's probably on here behind me somewhere. Pageant of the Century, which is a 1920s book.
Yeah.
That I've scanned the front and back cover and then merged them together to make that the outer bit of the card. And then I also have a rubber stamp with the Cthulhu Party logo on it that to officially stamp these cards up.
Cool.
And then we put a date stamp on them, date with an appropriate period date on it.
Cool. So Melissa, are you back with us? Do you think? Can we risk it?
It looks like now. It looks like for now.
Okay.
I've got my mini here.
So I'm just going to pop up a couple of bits of your artwork, because I just want. That's one thing we were going to talk about. So because you also are quite an illustrator. I'm always in awe of your illustration. You work in a couple of different mediums. So you have this wonderful kind of image, and you also work in black and white line work as well. So tell us a little bit about your illustration.
As you can see, it's very varied. I was for a short while a children's book illustrator.
Right.
At some point. I still sell my stuff at Comic-Con, so I still draw comics. This, for example, it's a bit more, I wouldn't say it's children's book style, but it's going down that route. And it was an idea for a comic that I had a while ago about these guys. If you can see the ferret.
I was going to say, because I've got another one of your illustrations here, and there does seem to be a slight theme.
I have a slight obsession, besides Cthulhu.
Okay.
And yeah, that's the creatures.
So does this one have a name?
As in this illustration.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Le Ferret. It's French for ferrets. So it's a very fancy Art Nouveau ferret. I actually made a dress based on that with the same colors and illustrations on the side with lights inside.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
So, sorry, I actually meant the ferret you're holding. Does the ferret you're holding have a name?
Oh, this one. Oh, that's Oreo.
It's very cute, as in the black and white biscuit.
As in the black and white biscuit.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. And then I know you've kind of revealed this today, so I'm going to just bring this up as well. So this is something new you're working on. So tell us a little bit about this.
Yes. So that is a book I've been working on for the past 2 years, I think. And sorry, can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Sorry, my image is quite bad.
Yeah.
So that's that's in the form of a journal. So it's told in the first person. There's little notes and little sketches inside. And it's a story of a paleobotanist, so someone who studies ancient plants, who travels back in time and finds an egg and brings it back and raises whatever hatches out of it in a flat in London, in Victorian steampunk London. And that thing turns out to be a dimetrodon, which is a creature you can see on the cover. So it's all about the misadventures of raising that thing, really, in steampunk London.
And what age range is that aimed at? Is that an adult book, children's book, or is it a book?
It's PG. Most of what
yeah.
I do is PG. Some terms might be complicated because I'm trying to actually stick to the science for this.
Yeah.
But there's no reason why kids can't read it with maybe a bit of help, to get the words right. But cool. Yeah.
And when can we see that, and how can we get it? That's the next question, I suppose.
I'm really bad with deadlines, but I think the book itself might be done in the next 2 weeks, because I'm pretty much done with most of these. I might do a Kickstarter because I really want this one to be printed on nice paper.
Yeah.
And have a nice hardback cover and everything. So there might be a Kickstarter for that. So I'll keep you up to date. But I think within the next month we should have some news about that.
Cool. Well, I think you've got a fan in Tom Brown. He's just said stunning art, so he's obviously liked it. I think it's stunning as well, actually, to be honest. So I'm just going to come back to the both of you. So I've going to take a couple of questions now, and I've got one from Nimrod, who's asking, how many members do you have at present, not including Cthulhu?
Not including Cthulhu, we signed up 50 people at Asylum last year.
Yeah. Cool. So that's quite a few. I'm just seeing if there's any other questions. Your computer, Andy, reminds me a little bit of work by I'm gonna correct Adrian here. I'm sorry, Adrian. By a guy called Datamancer in the States. Have you seen his work?
I have seen his work. I absolutely love his style, and he is one of the inspirations behind doing that.
Yeah.
My keyboards are nothing like on the level of his.
No, and sadly he's no longer with us. But his work was absolutely awesome.
I believe I believe his key sets are still manufactured and are still actually sold under the Datamancer name on Etsy.
Yeah. Nimrod's impressed, by the way, with your numbers. There was a question I found. What was it? Oh yes. Malika asked, "What do you hope to ultimately achieve?"
So this is as the Cthulhu Party.
Oh yes, as the Cthulhu Party. Yeah.
I mean, I think the ultimate aim is to raise Cthulhu and bring about the end of the world.
Okay, cool. Well, that all sounds great. You know, I can't argue with that really. Apparently, Joe Fay is saying you have 51 members.
Yes, that is actually true. Yes, we do have 51 members. There was a bit of an issue where there were certain people who we knew were buying memberships, and we did custom membership cards for them where we set the expiry dates on the membership cards to be the date and month of their birthday in like a year 1900 to 1907.
Yeah.
And we gave those cards out to those people first. So I think they were numbers like 1 to about 5.
Yeah.
Then we were at Asylum selling the cards and the badges, got to the end and realised that one person who we'd given a card out to hadn't picked up a badge. So we'd actually sold 51 cards, even though we only had 50 badges. Now, we have now got more badges. Now everybody does have a badge and a card who should have one.
That sounds like non-Euclidean mathematics to me, to be honest.
It was, yes.
So, if there's no other questions for the representatives of Cthulhu, I can't see any coming up. I'm going to thank you very much for talking to us today and taking time out from your busy schedules as representatives of the Cthulhu Party. And also thanks, Melissa. I know we had some problems, so thanks for bearing with us with the technology. So yes, thank you very much, and I hope we can maybe expect something. Maybe, I don't know, from the Cthulhu Party during the festival. That would be lovely, but we'll have to see. And it's been a joy to talk to you, and hopefully we'll get to talk again sometime soon. So thanks very much to Andy and Melissa of the Cthulhu Party. Thank you.
Thank you, Russell.
Cheers. So that was Andy and Melissa of the Cthulhu Party. Sorry about the technical issues we're having there. That's always the issue when you're using things like Skype over the internet. Sometimes the reception isn't very good, and sometimes that can cause a problem. But hopefully you bore with us, and if there's any other questions you've got for the Cthulhu Party, do head over to their Facebook page, which is over there, Cthulhu Party, facebook.com, and join up, ask questions, and join in the fun. So just a reminder again about Steampunk over Ether, 25th, 26th of April. We're looking for contributions. Also, a quick plug. I think Violet Hugh is going online later tonight at 8:30, so don't miss that. She's a great deal of fun. I think she's going to be performing for you, so that's going to be brilliant. Also, I'd like to give a quick thanks to Steampunk Explorer, which is the American equivalent, I guess you could say, of Steam Paper. It's a great publication, and it covers all sorts of steampunk events in America and also the UK. And they plugged the festival recently, so thank you very much for that. Do go and check them out and support them there on Patreon. Other than that, we'll be back tomorrow night at a slightly earlier time of 6:30, and we're going to be talking comics with Steve Tanner, Dave West, and Colin Matheson. So I know who is watching this. Hello, Colin. So 6:30 tomorrow, Colin. So we're going to be talking comics tomorrow night. That'd be great. And then next week we've got some really good things lined up again. So it's going to be a good couple of weeks on here. So thank you very much for watching, and see you soon.